Coach Jeremy Pruitt's Monday press conference. Coach will start us off with an opening statement. Please raise your hands for questions.
You know, when you go back and look at the tape from Saturday's game, lots of things that we've done in games that we've won. We made mistakes in this game, didn't give us a chance. We turned the football over, only got one turnover. Had a chance a couple of times in the red area to get off the field, to hold them to field goals, and didn't do that. You know, made probably the first two times we threw the ball Saturday. Had mistakes. One time in a 7-man protection, running back picked up the wrong guy. Another time we had another 7-man protection and had a miscommunication up front, so which led to negative plays. It contributed to us starting off slowly. You know, played 27 snaps, I think, in the first quarter defensively, and played those 27 snaps okay as the game went. Made a few mental errors, didn't cover them as well as we needed to. With the RPO game that they were running, didn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I thought on the positive side, I thought in the kicking game we had our best game of the year in kickoff return. You know, so we've continued to kind of break even or probably win the kicking game battle. We've got to do that on both sides of the ball, and we didn't do that Saturday, and a lot of that had to do with Missouri. You have to give those guys credit. They've done a really good job against us. So, you know, this week we got Vanderbilt. This is a very important game for everybody in this state. You know, they have an experienced team offensively. Quarterback's been playing there forever. Coach's son makes very few mistakes, got good runners, take care of the football. You know, defensively got a lot of ball hawks on the defensive side of the ball, give you multiple looks. You know, I think probably in the turnover margin in our league, they're up there at the top, and solid on special teams. So we need to find a way to improve our team this week, eliminate mistakes, tackle better, find a way to be able to run the football and create some explosive plays.
Coach Emmett Gooden seemed like he was pretty active on Saturday. Can you just talk about his progression and where specifically has he gotten better over the course of the year?
You know, I thought Emmett probably played as good as we had anybody play Saturday on the defensive side of the ball. You know, to be good on defense, you know, you got to keep edges. You got to build a wall. You can't give up one-for-ones when it comes to the run game. You got to be able to get off blocks. I thought he done a good job doing that. You know, in the secondary, you got to be able to deny the ball. Keep them cut off, keep them in front of you, make them earn it, and we didn't do that all the time. But I thought Emmett played probably as good as anybody we had Saturday.
David and Steve.
Jeremy, what's your thoughts on Ty Chandler? Hadn't really been involved in the passing game the last few ball games. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we hadn't played a whole lot of snaps. I know, you know, 2 weeks ago, you know, what we were doing was working pretty well, so there's no reason to go to it. And this past Saturday, you know, a lot of things we were doing wasn't working. You know, we had problems in protecting the quarterback. Obviously, we lost Jared early in the game. So, and then probably the score dictates that a little bit too.
Steve and Jimmy.
First, just any update on the status of Garantano and Callaway, and also you faced Shermer before at your old place. Just what is it that makes him? I know you had your way with Shermer last year, but what is it that makes him so effective? Looking at him on film. Well,
he has experience, has a really good understanding of what they're trying to get done. He makes very few mistakes. He throws the ball where they can catch it and nobody else can. And a lot of that just comes with playing a lot of ball, and he has. He grew up around the game, so does a really good job. As far as Jarrett, he'll be day-to-day this week, and probably the same thing with Callaway.
Jeremy, regarding some type of a version of an onside kick, do you go into a game knowing that you're going to try that, or does the situation during the game dictate whether you try some type of onside kick?
Well, I think in all three phases you look for things that possibly you can take advantage of. You know, Saturday kind of the way they lined up. That kick, if you kick it in the end zone, which Paxton has a lot, they get the ball on the 25-yard line, you're probably thinking, hey, if you kick the ball at the right spot, it's going to take one bounce. If they don't catch it on the first bounce, we probably got as good a shot as they do of recovering the ball. And if we don't recover it, we're going to lose 7 to 10 yards. So to me, the risk versus the reward in that situation, I think you do that. So, but that's what we're looking for. I mean, you can look at it. I think we've had 3 kind of alternative kicks this year, and probably had as good a shot or a better shot than the return team in getting the ball. We just didn't finish with the ball, so we got to find a way to do that.
So is that a predetermined thing before a game? That when you go in, you're going to try that?
Well, we know that we think it's there, and if we feel like it's there, then it becomes about the timing of, when do you do it? You look at it as you kick off and see if you think it's there.
Jeremy, you said that after the game that there were times where y'all had 6 and trying to run against 7 and it wasn't working. When you went back and evaluated the game, was that something from the sideline or something from the quarterback that should have been adjusted? What adjustments do you think, if any, should have been made there?
Well, everybody in this league is obviously going to try to stop the run. You make the quarterback beat you, and lots of times in the run game, you can manipulate a little bit, maybe, in how you're going to block somebody by running RPOs. Sometimes they're there, and lots of times you'll run an RPO and the wide receiver runs by a defensive back who comes up and makes the tackle. So there's some negatives to that too. But when you look at the way some teams play, you got to take what they give you, and we had opportunities Saturday to do that, and we didn't take advantage all the time of doing it. And with our football team, we've got to take advantage of everything that's there. And I didn't feel like Saturday was our best job of doing that.
Jesse in the back.
Jeremy, you've talked a lot about one-for-ones defensively. Was that, when you went back and watched the tape, kind of the biggest struggle of limiting Missouri's run game, especially there in the second half when they kind of got going downhill?
I'm sorry, Jesse. What was your question?
You've talked a lot this season about the one-for-ones defensively. When you went back and watched the tape, was that kind of the biggest struggle in terms of defending Missouri's run game?
Yeah, I think if you look the entire part of the game, when they got fitted up on us, we didn't get off of them. So, if you're going to be good defensively, I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for. You want to be able to defeat one-on-one blocks. If you're playing in a gap, you got to be able to post your guy and play your gap. And we didn't do that all the time Saturday. There's lots of times that, we had one more there than they could block, and they gained 4 or 5 yards. Plays that really should be either 0 or negative plays. This is what I'm talking about, hidden yardage. We lose yardage as the game goes. Several times we had opportunities to have negative plays, and they gained 7, 8, or 9 yards. So over the course of the game, that adds up a lot. And we had kind of, when the games that we have not played well in, that's what's happened. And when you do that, you start trying to find ways to create negative plays to get extra guys and all that, which puts pressure on your back end. So to do that, you got to be able to cover them. And we didn't do a good job doing that.
David and Wes.
Jeremy, can you walk through what the protocol looks like for when a guy suffers a head injury and how you kind of decide their status moving forward and kind of what they have, the benchmarks they have to clear?
Right. Well, I'm not a doctor, so I got lots of confidence in our medical staff. They've done a really good job since I've been here. So you're probably talking to the wrong person there. They handle everything from the medical side.
Jeremy, I guess until this season, you're a guy who's probably spent most, if not all, your time on defense. And with all this RPO stuff people are doing, when did you see that really kind of start happening so much in the college game, and how difficult has that whole process been to adjust to as a defensive I guess, as a defense?
Right. Well, there's probably pre-snap, the RPOs were probably 10 or 12 years ago. I mean, when I was a high school coach, the team that I coached on was doing them then, at Hoover High School. So we've been around that part of it for a very long time and have historically played teams that play that way. We've played them pretty well. I think over the last couple of years, you've had some guys across the country that have done some really good things as far as manipulating, reading backers, and throwing the ball down the field. Used to, in the old days, you had balls behind the line of scrimmage, then you had quick game, you had drop back, or you had play action pass. I think the RPO game has kind of taken away a lot of the quick game. You don't see that as much anymore. People are using the quick game throws. And it really helps in protection, because from a defensive line standpoint, they're playing the blockers. And when the guys come off as run plays, they're not thinking about getting their hands up, which a lot of quick game throws, the balls are, right there above the defensive linemen's heads. So I think it's just a good way to kind of manipulate the pass rush. And if you're not sound in your run fits, you can manipulate that too.
Can you say what Callaway's injury was, and do you expect him and Jarrett to practice today or no?
I think he's going to be he'll be in a black jersey, no contact for a couple of days, and he had a bruise to his chest area. So, he's a tough guy. I'm sure he'll be out there ready to go.
Coach, obviously with Thanksgiving coming up this week, just wanted to ask, what are you thankful for this year?
Well, I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have here at the University of Tennessee, the staff that's here that works with us, our players, our administration, our fan base. I told the kids Saturday during the Vol Walk, I want them to look around and see. So they had an understanding of, what the passion is for the program that we all represent, and the obligation that we have to the people that came before us and the people that's going to come after us.
Coach, given all your experience coaching in all the big games that you've been in, what's your message to all the younger guys that haven't been in a situation like this where they have to win to keep their season alive?
Well, I talked about it to our staff this morning. This is probably the first time in a long time for me that early on in the season we wasn't participating or playing for playoff implications or, a championship in your league. I said before, this game means a whole lot to a whole lot of people. And probably since the Florida loss or the Georgia loss, we've been playing for pride. And to me, you can talk about winning a championship or whatever. Pride's about as important as it gets.
Playing this game, obviously, when getting into a bowl game with recruiting coming up, do you think that plays a part in the recruiting process? Does it give Tennessee a boost to say that you went to a bowl game in your first year?
Well, I think it's important for our players. It's going to be important for our senior class to end with a win against Vanderbilt. I think it's important for everybody associated with our program to kind of raise our level of play. We've had opportunities to do that a couple of times this year, and in my opinion, have not necessarily played at our best. That's on us as coaches to get everybody in our program to be at their best. It's a great opportunity for us. I think it's a chance to possibly have a winning record. And anytime you have positive things going on, I think it's going to help you in recruiting.
Any other questions for Coach? All right. Thank you, sir.